So, welcome to your education hub. So, today we are going to start with the first chapter from your NCERT book, The Chemical Reactions and Equations from class 10 CBSE board. And this is your master teacher, Shubhakri Bodal. So, let's start with the chapter. So, if you have ever downloaded a Telegram app from Play Store or iOS, then join our channel. All kinds of PDFs, workbooks, notes, tests, etc. will be given in this channel. And the link of our channel is given in the description box below. And so join the channel soon as possible. Our country is moving time of crisis because of COVID-19. So we need to team up with the people which are around us, and by maintaining all the preventive acts given by the the World Health Organization, as well as the medical associations in our country. We need to fight this battle by teaming up with our surroundings, and then only we will win this battle. We need to make sure that each and every day we follow these acts. The first act as follows: wash hands at least 20 seconds. Avoid contact with sick people. Don't touch the eyes, nose, or mouth with unwashed hands. Avoid crowded places. We need to avoid when there is a crowd in markets and some other places. Do not share eating utensils and food. Sharing is a very wonderful thing, but then in this COVID period, we need to not need to share any kind of food or utensils with each other. If in your community anybody is feeling sick, then we need to call the medical uh, association of the nearest hospital as fast as possible. And we need to stay at home and we need to fight this war. So stay safe, stay home. So let's move to the chapter. So the types of reactions. So we know the two types of reactions. One is the basic is physical reaction and the basic is chemical reaction. But in this chapter, we totally going to focus on chemical reactions. So let's move to the next slide and know more about chemical reaction. So what is chemical reaction? So a process in which one or more substances, the reactants, are converted to one or more different substances, the products. Now, before understanding the definition which this slide tells, let's know by what we have learned. Let's recapitulate the chemical reaction. In earlier classes, we have learned that in chemical reaction is a kind of reaction in which new substances are formed, and these reactions are simply irreversible. We cannot reverse the reactions and get back the earlier formation of a substance. So now let's understand the definition. Hope you have remembered the chemical reaction which we have learned in the earlier classes. So let's now read the definition as the slide suggests. A process in which one or more substances, the reactants, are converted to one or more different substances, the products. The process in which a procedure in which one or more, it not only necessarily that one substance is going to act and is going to be the reactant. There may be a more or number of substances. Now I hope you know what is reactants. We will be discussing about reactants, about products in the later part of this chapter in very much depth. So reactants are converted to one or more different substances, the products. So these reactants are simply converted, the conversion of reactants where in any one or more different. Not only one substance as a product will form, there may be different more substances as products can be formed. Now, substances are either chemical elements or compounds. Substances are either chemical elements or maybe the chemical compounds as well. A chemical reaction rearranges the constituent atoms of the reactants to create different substances as products. A chemical reaction, a kind of reaction that rearranges the constituent atoms of the reactants to create different substances as products. So, hope you have understood the chemical reaction. So, let's move to the next slide and the next part of the chapter. So, how do we come to know that a chemical reaction has taken place? So, we need to come to know. Usually, we can see that there is a changes occurred in that particular reaction, but then those reactions, those changes are not the only changes. There are more various kinds of changes that we can observe. So let's read those changes. So the presence of any of the following changes helps us to determine that a chemical reaction has taken place. So based on these criteria, based on these factors, chemical reaction used to take place. The formation of new substances. Formation of new substances occurs. Changing state changes the state of the substances is changed. A change in color as well. The color of the substances gets changed. Now these till these three criteria we can relate to an example. So the example can be burning of a paper. So these are kind of example. A formation of new substances. So while burning of a paper, there is a kind of reaction, and after the burning of paper, we get ash as the result of the product. Now the ash is a new substance. Now change in state. Change in state, the state of the paper was a kind of state, and when it changes to ash, the state gets changed and then changed in color. The color of the paper may be white, maybe yellow, maybe green, maybe red, but in case of ash, the color is simply black in color. Now change in temperature. Now change in temperature now occurs with the substance with this chemical reactions as well. Formation of a precipitate mostly occurs in the reactions which we carry on in the laboratories, and then this formation of a precipitate means a solution or a state has been left over in the bottom of the vessel or flux, so that is the precipitate, and then evolution of a gas. When a high reactions takes place, then a lot of local heat, a lot of gaseous elements are being released. So that is the evolution of a gas. So hope you have understood what are the criterias which are following these whole chemical reactions. So let's move to the next slide. What are chemical equations? Now, chemical equations are symbolic representations of a chemical reactions in which the reactants and the products are expressed in terms of their respective chemical formula. Now, the reactions which are chemical reactions are simply, we can write it as in forms of equations as well. So those symbolic representations are known as chemical formula. Now these chemical formulas are very much different from other from each and every reactions. So they also make use of symbols as well. We also use different kinds of symbols, like we use delta. This is a kind of symbol. So and to represent the factors. Now these symbols helps to represent the factors that is going to occur in the chemical reactions. Now, such as the direction of the reaction and the physical states of the reacting entities. Now, they also such as the direction of the reaction. A direction of the reaction also helps in the physical states of the reacting entities. The chemical equations were first formulated by French chemist Jean Deguenne in the year 1615. So the first chemical equations was being formulated by French chemist whose name was Jean Deguenne. Now we can see in our front that there is a chemical equation. So 2H2 the G gaseous in state plus O2 G means gaseous in state, which is transformed to 2H2O, which is also gaseous in state. So can you able to understand what is 2H2? It is the hydrogen. Can you able to understand what is O2? It is oxygen, and 2H2O means is water. So this is the total formation. So these are the reactants and these are the products. Now these formulas, these are the chemical formulas, and these numbers before the elements, before the compounds, so these are the coefficients. So hope you have understood what are chemical reactions and the criterias which are being used and the symbols which are being used and the numbers which acts as coefficient in these equations. So let's move to the next slide. So writing a chemical equation. Now we need to know writing a chemical equation. Now till now we have understood what are chemical reactions. Now we need to know about the technique. There is a technique of writing a chemical equation. Now at first we need to identify the reactants and products and place them in word equation. At first for our help we can write the reactants and products in their word equation. Now the next part is we need to convert the physical names. Like for example, in this example we can see aluminium is in the word equation form. The iron 3 oxide is also in the word equation form. Aluminium oxide is also a word equation form, and this is iron, which is also in a word equation form. So these equations we can turn on into we need to turn on into its chemical names as well. So we know the chemical names. We need to remember all these chemical names. Hope you have learned all these chemical names in your earlier classes. So these chemical names of aluminium like Al. The chemical name of iron 3 oxide is Fe2O3. The chemical name of aluminium oxide is Ar2O3 and the chemical name of iron is Fe. Now after this step, this is the second last step and the last step and the final step. We need to make these steps to be balanced. Now why we do it? We need to do the chemical equation in balanced form. So this question might be arising in your mind now. So we will be discussing about it in the following slides. Now we can balance it by Al, which is 2. We can see that there is 2 aluminium element in this product form. So we need to put 2 as a coefficient in the reaction form as well. So 2 aluminium is in the form of solids. Now Fe2, so we can see that 2 ferrous or the iron form. So iron is having 2, that's why we need to make 2 as a coefficient in the product form as well. Now we can find 3 oxygen, and that's why we need to put 3 oxygen as well in the product form, and here they are equal in reactant form as well as in product form. So they are equal, so they are balanced from the beforehand itself. So this is the total reaction which we can see after balancing. So this is the total. These 3 important steps are the total techniques by which we can write a chemical equation. Never write a equation which is not balanced. So we always should write these chemical equations in its balanced form. So let's move to the next slide. So why we need to balance a chemical equation. So if we do not balance a chemical equation, then the you will harm the law of conservation of mass. And this law of conservation of mass was first stated by Antoine Lavoisier. So this is Antoine Lavoisier, and it states that the mass is an isolated system. It's neither created nor destroyed by chemical reactions or physical transformation. Create, we cannot do by creation of mass, we cannot cause destruction in the mass. So by chemical reactions, or physical transformations. According to the law of conservation of mass, the mass of products is a mass of reactants. So according to the law of conservation of mass, the mass of products. So the mass of products, if it is 2 in the reactants, it should be 2 in the products as well. It may be other coefficients as well. We are taking a basic example called 2. Now the law of conservation of mass is useful for the number of calculations and can be used to solve for unknown masses such as the amount of gas consumed or produced during a reaction. So we need to do some mathematical calculations by which we can balance the equations. Those calculations are very much easier for us to solve for the unknown masses as well. So the amount of gas which is consumed in the reaction in the products in the reaction part, reactants part should be equal to the gas produced in the production part as well. So this is what the law of conservation of mass and who stated it. So hope you have understood the law of conservation of mass. So let's move to the next slide. So balancing of an equation. Now we need to study, we need to practice balancing of equation. Balancing of an equation is very much important from exam point of view in your school exams as well as in your board exams. Balance a number of equations comes up to balance, and in many questions sometimes there is a part of the question in which there will be 3 to 4 equations in which we need to balance the equations. This happens mostly in school exams, but in board exams, the question only they used to ask for writing the equations. In those cases, we need to write the total equation that has caused the reaction which has been asked in a particular question. Yeah. So let's start with the first question, which is CH4 plus 2O2 equals CO2 plus 2H2. Now CH4 we know as methane, 2O2 means oxygen, CO2 is carbon dioxide, and 2H2O is water. So from beginning itself, it is balanced. So identification of a particular reaction which is balanced or not is also a very much important task. So sometimes students doesn't see that a particular reaction is balanced or not, but later while balancing those equations they found that the reaction is already being balanced. So that's a lot of time has been wasted in these cases. So identification of a particular equation is balanced or not is also an important task. So in this equation it is totally balanced from the previously itself. So let's check what each element consisting of. So carbon in reactant part it is only having 1. Then in hydrogen in products, let's discuss horizontally. So in carbon in reactant form it is only 1. Carbon in product form it is also 1. So from beginning only it is being balanced. So 1 equals to 1 which is already being balanced. So hydrogen it is 4 in reactant part, and then we have 2 hydrogen and 2 into 2, and that's why we are having 4. Now 2 into 2, this is because this is the coefficient, and while writing the equation in the question it is being given, and that's why we need to write as 2 into 2. So it is as 4. So 4 equals to 4, it is balanced. Now this chart we have made for your which will be easier for you to understand. but don't make this kind of charts in exam. It takes a lot of time to observe these equations very minutely. We have observed very much minutely, and that's why don't do this kind of charts. Try to do it memorizing and try to see the equations by visualizing. Don't make this kind of charts. It will mostly take a lot of time in your exam. So oxygen, which is acting as 2 into 2, which is 4. So and here 1 into 2 plus 2 into 2. So this is also 4. So 4 equals to 4, and that's why this total equation is balanced. So hope you have understood the first example of balancing of an equation. So let's go to the next example. So this is the next example. So in the next example we can see this particular equation is not balanced, it is unbalanced. So we need to make it balanced. So hydrogen, in this part we are having 1 into 2, which is 2. In product side we are getting 1 into 2 is 2. So the hydrogen is totally balanced in both product side, in both reaction. Now oxygen. Now oxygen is having 1 into 1 in its reactant side and 1 into 2 in its product side. So 1 is not equal to 2. So these are two other numbers. These are not similar, and that's why this is not balanced. Now we need to make it balanced. So how we will make it balanced? Let's see. So in the next part we are saying that the equation has been balanced. So how? So hydrogen is the reactant part, it is 1 into 2 equals to 2, and product part is 1 into 2 equals to 2. So beforehand itself we have seen that this hydrogen is very much balanced in its product side as well as in reactant side. So this is balanced. Now we will observe about the oxygen. So how it has got balanced. So 1 into 2 equals to 2 is the reactant, and 1 into 2 equals to 2. It has also got balanced. So 2 equals to 2. So totally it has been balanced. So you can see that we have placed a coefficient called 2 in the products part. That's why these are having H2 and this is having O2. So 2H2, which means there is a 2, and that's why this has been balanced out. So this total equation has been balanced. So let's move to the next slide. So this is the third example in which we can see that C2H6 equals to plus O2 equals to H2O plus CO2. So C2H6, which means that this is unbalanced, and then C2H6 plus O2 is equals to 3H2 plus 2CO2 is a first step. So here we can see that these are not balanced. Some of the elements, some of the compounds are not balanced. So the second step we can see we have placed a 7 by 2 combination. Now 7 by 2 is a not a whole number, it is a fractional number. We cannot place any kind of fractional number while balancing an equation. Sometimes it happens, but then we cannot deliberately place a fractional number while doing balancing. So we need to place a whole number, and that's why the total and the red equation, which is the balancing of an equation, 2C2H6 plus 7O2 equals to 6H2 plus 4CO2, which is the third step. So hope you have understood the balancing of an equation. So let's go to the next slide. We will discuss more about balancing of an equation. We will bring a lecture in which we will discuss about the balancing of an equation. So till then, let's go to the next slide. So these are the types of chemical reactions. Now, types of chemical reactions. So there are different kinds of chemical reactions. The first is combination reaction, the second is decomposition reaction, the third is single displacement reaction, the fourth is double displacement reaction, and the fifth is oxidation and reduction reaction, which is also called as redox reaction. So these 5 reactions we will discuss in detail in the following slides. So let's start with combination reactions. So this is combination reaction. Combination reaction is a general category of chemical reactions may be defined as a chemical reaction in which two or more substances combine to form a single substance under suitable conditions. Now, for example, while we form water, so we need hydrogen and we need oxygen. So two elements which are being transformed in the formation of water. So this is the formation of water. The next is the combination reaction and also known as synthesis. They are also known as synthesis because these reactions new substances are simply synthesized. So hope you have understood water combination reactions. In the next slide, we are going to discuss the examples of combination reaction. So these are the simple examples of combination reactions. So 2Na plus Cl2, which is a 2NaCl, the Taylor salt. C plus O2 equals to CO2, which is the carbon dioxide. 2Mg plus O2 equals to 2Mg, which is the magnesium oxide. CaO plus H2O, which is the calcium hydroxide. Ba plus F2, which is the BF2, which is barium fluoride, and then H2 plus Cl2, which is the 2HCl. So hope you have understood all the combination reactions, and these are the basic examples. So let's move to the next topic, which is the decomposition reaction. So decomposition reaction. So decomposition reaction is a reaction in which a compound breaks down into two or more simpler substances. And general form of the decomposition reaction is EV equals to A plus B. So this is the general form of the decomposition reaction. Till now, in the before topic or the previous topic, which was combination reaction, we have seen that this general form was A plus B equals to AB. Now, in this decomposition reaction, we will see that how a particular compound gets decomposed in its states, in its particular states. That is, AB equals to A plus B. The AB has been broken down and decomposed into A and in its B form. So the decomposition reaction is a reaction in which a compound breaks down into two or more simple substances. So we have discussed now only by looking at its general form, which is AB equals to A plus B, and most decomposition reactions require an input energy in the form of heat, light or electricity. Without any kind of input energy, decomposition doesn't occur in any way. So we have understood what is decomposition reaction and the general form of the decomposition reaction and how decomposition takes place. So let's move to the next slide, which is the examples of decomposition reaction. So this is the example of decomposition reaction. All these examples, both from decomposition reactions and all other examples which are coming up from the other reactions as well, we need to take a note of it and take the snapshots of each of these examples. This will help in your exam point of view. So 2HGO equals to 2Hg plus O2. CaCO3 equals to CaO plus CO2. 2NaOH equals to Na2O plus H2O. And H2CO3 equals to CO2 plus H2O. These are the following examples of decomposition reactions. So let's move to the next slide and discuss about the different types of decomposition reaction. So these are the types of decomposition reaction. The first type is thermal decomposition reaction. Thermal decomposition means that by heat we can decompose different kinds of substances or compounds. Like we have CaCO3. By heat we can break it up to CaO, and by heat we can make this CO2. So by giving heat, these CaCO3, which is a calcium carbonate, has been transformed back to its calcium oxide form and back to its carbon dioxide form. Now, thermal decomposition reaction can be defined as a decomposition reaction which is activated by thermal energy. In other words, a thermal decomposition reaction requires energy to be supplied to the reactants in the form of heat. This only we have discussed now, and such reactions are generally endothermic since energy is required to break. So hope you know what is endothermic reaction and what is exothermic reaction. Endothermic reactions are those reactions in which heat is needed for the performance of the reaction for carrying on the reaction. But in exothermic reaction is those reactions in which the particular reactions gives out a lot of heat. And so the this is the example of the thermal decomposition reaction. So let's move to the next slide. Hope you have totally understood what is a thermal decomposition reaction. So let's move to the next type of the decomposition reaction. This is the type of decomposition reaction, which is the electrolytic decomposition reaction. Now, an electrolytic decomposition reaction is a type of decomposition reaction in which an activation of energy for decomposition is provided in the form of electrical energy. Electrical energy is also needed to decompose a particular compound to form its previous states. Now, an example of electrolytic decomposition is electrolysis of water. So, we can also do electrolysis of water as well. This 2H2 equals 2H2 plus O2. So, this is the decomposition reaction done by electrolytic decomposition process. So, hope you have understood the second type of decomposition reaction as well. So, let's move to the third type of the decomposition reaction. Till we have discussed the second part of the decomposition reaction. These types of decomposition reactions are very much important and we need to understand in depth. So, let's move to the third decomposition reaction, which is the photolytic decomposition reaction. Now, the photodecomposition reaction is a type of decomposition reaction in which the reactant is broken down to its constituents by absorbing energy from photons. Now, what is photolytic decomposition? Photolytic decomposition is a kind of decomposition reaction in which, due to light or the solar energy, the total compound or products are being broken down to its original states. But it may be the solar energy, or it can also be called as the photons as well. So it's example purpose we can take as silver chloride can be broken down by its solar energy, by its photon or by its photolytic decomposition process to silver and chloride form. So we have discussed all the decomposition reactions. One is photolytic decomposition, one is electrolytic decomposition, and one is the thermite decomposition, or we can say as the heat decomposition. So hope you have understood these three decomposition reactions. So let's move back to the types of chemical reactions that we were discussing, and the next is single displacement reaction. So this is single displacement reaction. A single displacement reaction is a chemical reaction in which more reactive element displaces a less reactive element. Now, while learning this, we need to know about the stages or the following reactive table that we are being given with. So we need to learn about it. Then only we will be able to understand the single displacement reaction. Now, the reaction table consisting of the most reactive is the potassium. So potassium is the most reactive element as per the reactive table, and the least reactive element is the silver, and below it we have platinum as well. So platinum is more of the least reactive. So these are, so we need to learn about this table in by depth, by heart we need to learn it, by which we will be able to solve single displacement reaction as well as the double displacement reaction or DD reaction. So, this is a reaction which occurs both in metals as well as in non-metals. Take parts in the displacement reaction. Now, as an example purpose, we can take it in mode equation only. Reaction of RNLs with copper sulfur solution. So, reaction of RNLs means the iron minerals we get in market. So, we we can react it with the copper sulfate solution. So we will be see as a result. So let's go to the next slide and discuss in detail about the examples of single displacement reaction. So these are the single examples of single displacement reaction. So potassium plus water equals to potassium hydroxide plus hydrogen. So this is the first reaction. In magnesium plus copper nitrate equals to magnesium nitrate plus copper. So magnesium is more reactive, and that's why it is taking the place of copper from this nitrate solution. So in the previous reaction, we can also see that the potassium is very much reactive, and that's why it is displacing the hydrogen, which is a very much least reactive, and it is displacing hydrogen from its water form, and the potassium is taking over the place, and that is this. All reactions are the examples of displacement reaction, which is a single displacement reaction. So zinc plus hydrochloric acid equals to zinc chloride plus hydrogen, and then chlorine plus calcium iodide equals to calcium chloride plus iodine. We need to take all to remember all these reactions. Take the snapshots of all these examples of these reactions. This will help you in the exam. Most of the questions in the exams ask the examples of these displacement reactions, these decomposition reactions, these redox reactions. These examples are very much important. We need to learn by heart. So let's go to the next slide. Now this is types of chemical reaction. Now the next is DD reaction. Now double displacement reaction. Since we have watched about single reaction, now what is double displacement reaction? Double displacement reaction means that there is a replacement of two elements are taking up the places of those elements which are weak or which are least reactive. So let's read and let's understand it at first by its general form. So we can see AB is a compound and CD is also a compound. Now what is happening? A is replacing the replacing and taking the part and displacing and taking the part of AD, and the C is taking the part of CD. So this is the general form. Now those reactions in which two compounds of react by an exchange of ions to form the two new compounds are called the double displacement reaction. Double displacement, double replacement or displacement reaction, anything you can tell. So replacement reaction, the positive ions exchange negative ion from partners. So this happens basically. Sometimes question is asked, what is double displacement reaction? In those cases, you need to write there is an exchange of positive ions with the negative ions partners. Now, many double displacement reactions occur between ionic compounds that are dissolved in water. A double replacement reaction or displacement reaction, anything you can tell, is represented by this general equation, general form. So, hope you understood what is double displacement or replacement reaction. So, let's move to the examples of double displacement reaction. So these are the examples. So you can see that what I have said previously itself, potassium bromide. This is the highest and most reactive, and it is being reacted with silver nitrate. Now what is happening? Potassium nitrate is taking up potassium. It is displacing the silver from its nitrate solution, and then the the substance which is left over, which is silver bromide. So here you can understand from this first reaction itself what is double displacement and the function of the double displacement. So these reactions. So Na2SO4 is a sodium sulfate. It's reacting with strontium chloride. They are not much reactive, and then it is taking up this sodium chloride, which is a table salt, and the strontium sulfate. Now ACl, which is hydrochloric acid, it is NaOH. Now NaCl is taking up because Na is the second one after potassium. This is the second most reactive element, so it is taking up this it is displacing the hydrogen from its hydrochloric acid and it is taking up and forming as sodium chloride and water is living left over. Now in it 2s sodium sulfide plus 2HCl which is the hydrochloric acid. Now Na is again replacing the hydrogen from its hydrochloric acid and forming sodium chloride and hydrogen sulfide is being formed or given out. So hope you have understood the examples of the double displacement of the reactions as well. So we have also taken the snapshot of all these examples. So let's move to the next slide. So these the last type of chemical reaction, that is oxidation reaction. This chemical reaction has much more importance is being given to these type of chemical reaction. So learn it by heart and understand the concept which is being related to this oxidation and reduction. This concept sometimes students are unable to understand. So learn it by heart. So the term oxidation was originally used to describe the reactions in which an element combines with oxygen. The term oxidation, what is oxidation? So it is originally used to describe the reactions in which an element combines with oxygen. So elements are present in the products part as well as in reactant part. Any part it can combine with the oxygen as well. So example, the reaction between magnesium metal and oxygen dissolving magnesium oxide involves oxidation of magnesium. So magnesium at its reactant part it has not been combined with oxygen, but in its product part it has been combined with the oxygen and forming as oxidation of magnesium. Now next is reduction. Now what is reduction? Now reduction comes from the Latin stem meaning to lead back. Anything that leads back to magnesium metal therefore involves reduction. The reaction between magnesium oxide carbon at 2000 Celsius to form the magnesium metal and carbon monoxide is an example of reduction of the magnesium oxide to magnesium metal. Now, what is reduction? Reduction is giving out or releasing out the oxygen. Now, without giving out or releasing out in the reaction itself is known as a reduction. So this reduction may occur in the products part, may occur in the reactants part as well. So we can take an example to form the magnesium metal. We can take carbon monoxide and then we can take magnesium oxide, which will give us the magnesium metal. So carbon monoxide will only help magnesium oxide to give out the magnesium metal. The pure magnesium metal will be given out. So hope you have understood what is oxidation and reaction. So try to see this part as much as you can. If you have not understood, then try to see as much as you can and try to read the inserted book as well. Learning side by side will be able to understand what is oxidation and reaction. Sometimes students get confused between this. So hope you have understood what is oxidation and reaction. So let's come to the next slide. What are the examples of oxidation and reaction? By that also you have understood the concept of oxidation and reaction. So these are the examples. So what is happening in the first equation? Now let's see the second equation. It is much more easier than first equation. We will see later. So second equation which is telling that Fe plus O2 equals to Fe2O2. Now Fe is being oxidized. You can see that Fe2O has formed. So you can see here it has been oxidized. These O2 has combined with iron and formed and got oxidized. Now, let's move to the first example. So MnO4 minus, what is happening? MnO4 from its previously it was oxidized. Now in its form it has gone reduced. The oxygen has gone away, and the iodine which was doing the work to reduce the. So if the question comes, who is the reducing agent? That is iodine. And what is which element the reduction occurred? It is Mn, means manganese. So Hope you have understood the examples of oxidation and reduction as well. These are very much clear, simple, and easy topics. Hope you have understood. So let's go to the last parts, last two parts of the chapter, that is corrosion and rancidity. So what is corrosion? By time, if a particular iron object by time has not been painted regularly, the strength of iron decreases. Now, why this happens? The strength of the iron decreases due to corrosion. Now, this corrosion means that it gets in touch, because iron particles are in touch with the natural substances like air, water, moisture in atmosphere. So they gets damaged due to this. Most in ships, our governments, our country used to use most of the money in building up of the ships, because the ships are totally being iron, because they are being totally being made with iron, for which they most of the time not, it's all the time, it is being working over the water itself, so it is getting corroded. A lot of money every year is being wasted on these ships for building up, for for making strong irons to continue with the job. Now what is corrosion? Let's read. Corrosion is a dangerous and extremely costly problem. Yes, very much it is a very costly problem. Because so many irons we need to replace, it is a very much costly problem, because the iron which has been damaged, we cannot use it for much more time. So it is a very much costly problem. Now, because of its, buildings and bridges can collapse, oil pipelines break, chemical plants leak, and bathrooms flood. Yes, very much obvious. Iron articles are unable to hold and unable to do the specific job that they have been given. That if they are unable to, then these conditions are very much necessary to occur, and for which this should be occurring, and that's why we need to repair this. Corroded electrical contacts can cause fires and other problems. Corroded medical implants may lead to blood poisoning, and air pollution has caused corrosion damage to works of art around the world. This corrosion is also causing a huge pollution as well, and which is threatening the life of the human beings. Corrosion threatens the safe disposal of radioactive waste that must be stored in containers for thousands of years. Corrosion threatens the safe disposal of radioactive waste. It also causes threatens to radioactive disposal of radioactive waste as well. This is stored in containers for thousands of years. So, hope you have understood the second last topic of our chapter, which is corrosion. So, let's go to the last topic, which is rancidity. Now, what is rancidity? Rancidity is a term referred to as a condition in which the food has become undesirable. Sometimes, if, for example, if we have bought a chips packet, and if we bought a Lay's packet, now we have opened the Lay's packet, and due to some emergency, we have gone for some more. And after coming, the Lay's packet will start eating up, and you will see that the chips have gone, the taste of the chips has gone some problematic. Maybe when you have opened the chips, would be much more better. But as the time passed, for example, you have gone out for an emergency work for 5 years, and after coming out, the chips that nobody have ever to has gone to keep it somewhere or put over a cover over it to not to get rancid, and that's why those chips has gone having some foul smell. So that as these chips have gone rancid. So these is the problem, by which this problem is known as a rancidity. The term which has been used refer to the condition of the undesirable food. So the term rancidity refers to the condition in which the food has become undesirable. It is often used to describe the oxygen content of oils. It's a term used to describe the oxygen damage in food. When oxygen molecules interact with the oil and food, the normal structure of the food is damaged. Now only we have discussed, and resulting in a change in odor and taste. So the foul smell comes up, and the taste of it has gone some another taste, means the taste has gone changed, and it is not recommended for consumption. rancid food which has been totally been cancelled, we should not have because it causes problem in our digestion purposes in our stomach. So example of rancidity is when a chips packet is exposed to atmospheric air, which results in a change in taste and odor. So now only we have discussed about the Lay's matter, and this is only being given. So hope you have understood the rancidity as well. So this is the end of this video. So all your concepts are crystal clear. These are the basic concepts which will help if you are taking science in your future. This will help more, and this concept should be crystal clear. I hope your concepts are crystal clear. And if you have any kinds of doubt, mention in the comment section below. We take a lot of efforts to build up these conceptual videos for you people. So like the video as and subscribe the channel. We need to increase our family, and this increasing of our family would be done by hitting the subscribe button, the red button given on, and hit the red button and click on the bell icon to get regular updates from our channel, and share with those people who are in need of to study. This will not benefit me, this will not benefit you, this will benefit those who are in need of study. They are wishing to study but due to some problems they are unable to study. So help them with these videos and try to share as much as you can. So thank you and stay tuned, and until the next video comes up, practice and